World War I and World War II had an impact on many people. It affected people on and off the battlefield. Those wars caused a great hatred for the German people. Little people know about the suffering of German Americans during that time, and even before then. The German culture suffered a strong blow during the World Wars, and they still haven't fully recovered. German Americans account for about 1/3 of the total ethnic German population in the world. Germans started immigrating to the US started in the 1670s, but 8 million Germans started arriving during the 19th century, and 7.5 million just between 1820 and 1870, many of them making their way to the Midwest to buy farms or settle in cities including Milwaukee, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. According to Wikipedia, they were pulled by the attractions of land and religious freedom and pushed out of Germany by shortages of land and religious or political oppression. Many arrived seeking religious or political freedom, others for economic opportunities greater than those in Europe, and others for the chance to start fresh in the New World. The arrivals before 1850 were mostly farmers who sought out the most productive land, where their intensive farming techniques would pay off. After 1840, many came to cities where Germania, German-speaking districts, soon emerged. In 1849, America's first anti-immigrant political party, the Know Nothing Party, formed as a backlash to the increasing number of German and Irish immigrants settling in the United States. In 1850, German was America's second most popular language. President Abraham Lincoln's first official act in the White House in 1861 was to hire a secretary fluent in the tongue to correspond with citizens in 80 German-American newspapers. About 178,000 Germans fought in the Civil War, more than any other foreign-born ethnic group. The Union Army had 18 German-speaking regiments. German Americans established the first kindergartens in the United States, introduced Christmas tree tradition, and introduced popular foods such as hot dogs and hamburgers to America. A survey of Western governors by the Harvard-based Immigration Restriction League showed Germans to be the least hated immigrants because they all work. In the 1910 census, 2.3 million Americans were German-born, and about 10 million claimed to be of German descent. Americans with German heritage in the 1900s were gaining money and power and increasing in numbers. The German culture, however, suffered a strong blow with many setbacks, which they haven't fully recovered to this day. When America went to war against the Kaiser, anti-German propaganda from Britain was creating resentment that caused German-American institutions to come under attack. Anger escalated in 1915 when a German torpedo sank the British liner Lusitania, which drowned 128 American passengers. Now at war with Germany, Americans furious about torpedoes and sabotage wanted to wipe the country free of every single trace of German heritage. The names of schools, streets, and towns were often changed. The town Berlin, Michigan was changed to Marne, Michigan, honoring those who fought in the Battle of Marne. Liederkranz, German singing club societies dwindled. Turnverein halls, German gymnasiums, were rented out for high school reunions and other events. Classical music, so often associated with German composers, became less popular in America than in any other country. Music written by Wagner and Mendelssohn was removed from concert programs and weddings and replaced with music from French composer Berlioz. They renamed Dachshunds Liberty Pups and sauerkraut Liberty Cabbage. In Cincinnati, the public library was asked to withdraw all German books from its shelves. In Iowa, the 1918 Babel Proclamation prohibited all foreign languages in schools and public places. Nebraska also banned instruction in any language except English. Kaiser Wilhelm II, once an honored friend of Theodore Roosevelt, became known as the Beast of Berlin and the Werewolf of Potsdam. In Germantown, now a Philadelphia suburb, plans for a monument to Francis Daniel Pastorius, the founder of Germantown, were canceled. At Independence Day parades, men dressed as Kaiser Wilhelm wore nooses for neckties. Rubella had been called German measles for a century or more because a German doctor first defined the childhood disease in 1740. It was now said that German scientists had created rubella and influenza to kill Allied soldiers and children. Official government propaganda posters casting the Germans as ravening beasts essentially encouraged hatred for Americans of real or imagined German heritage. The Justice Department made a list of all the German aliens, counting about 480,000 of them, more than 4,000 of whom were imprisoned in 1917 to 18. The accusations included spying for Germany or endorsing the German war effort. Thousands of them were forced to buy war bonds to show their loyalty. The Red Cross stopped individuals with German last names from joining in fear of sabotage. Physical attacks, though rare, were more violent. German American businesses and homes were vandalized, and German Americans accused of being pro-German were tarred and feathered. German-born Robert Prager from Collinsville, Illinois, was dragged from a jail as a suspected spy. After Prager had knelt and made his final prayers, the mob of 200 to 400, which included more than one man with a Teutonic German last name, lynched its captive from a telephone pole. In Tolleson, Indiana, Pastor Edmund Kaiser of St. James Evangelical Lutheran Church was assassinated on August 25, 1916, just for his pro-German views during the World War I. John Meintz, a German-American farmer in Minnesota, was beat, whipped, tarred, and feathered in August 1918 because apparently he didn't support war bond drives. A Minnesota minister was tarred and feathered when he was overheard praying in German with a dying woman. On October 22, 1918, John Demmel of Outagamie County, Wisconsin, heard his wife say that men on their porch wanted to see him. The 7 carloads of visitors, including neighbors, pushed into the house and demanded that Demmel buy more war bonds. He said he had signed up for $450 worth. The men claimed his share was $800, punched him, and put a rope around his neck. "I will not sign up for any man after being abused like this," Demmel said. The men left when he agreed to buy more bonds. Many German Americans reacted by overtly defending their loyalty to the United States. They tried to limit the use of German language in public places, especially churches. Others changed the names of their businesses and sometimes even their own names, trying to conceal German ties and to disappear into American society. Some German Americans reached beyond changing their family names to recasting themselves as Norwegian, Swedish, Swiss, or Dutch. Some gave their children Anglo-Saxon names like Donald or Malcolm and dressed them in plaid clothes. Ironically, thousands of German Americans fought to defend America in World War I, led by German American John J. Pershing, whose family had long before changed their name from Forsching. Between 1931 and 1940, about 114,000 Germans moved to the United States, many of whom, including Nobel Prize winner Albert Einstein and author Erich Maria Remarque. were Jewish Germans or anti-Nazis fleeing government oppression. German aliens were the subject of suspicion and discrimination during the war, although prejudice and sheer numbers meant they suffered as a group generally less than Japanese Americans. The Alien Registration Act of 1940 required 300,000 German-born resident aliens who had German citizenship to register with the federal government and restricted their travel and property ownership rights. Under the still active Alien Enemy Act of 1798, the United States government interned nearly 11,000 German citizens between 1940 and 1948. Civil rights violations occurred. An unknown number of voluntary internees joined their spouses and parents in the camps who were not permitted to leave. After 1970, anti-German sentiment aroused by World War II faded away. In the 1990 U.S. Census, 58 million Americans claimed to be solely or partially of German descent. According to the 2005 American Community Survey, 50 million Americans have German ancestry. German Americans represent 17% of the total U.S. population and 26% of the non-Hispanic white population.